Watch out for those weirdos.
We are the weirdos, mister.
Welcome back to the Final Ghouls of Horror. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Holly.
And I'm Elle.
We're three people who love horror and are coming at it from different perspectives of who we are, as well as different levels of experience with the genre, which we're always excited to talk about. And this week we're going back to the 1930s for the blues and blood as we look at 2025's Sinners.
I've been all over this world. I seen men die in ways I ain't even know was possible. Love you, brother. Be careful. I will. With all the things that I've seen, I ain't ever seen no demons, no ghosts, no magic. Till now.
All right, so to start this off, let me ask, are you guys, Elle, what is your familiarity with either Sinners or Ryan Coogler in general, in terms of, I'm talking about for reference, the Black Panther films, the Creed films, and Fruitvale Station? Like, are you familiar with his work at all? And were you familiar with Sinners?
I mean, I have watched both the Black Panther movies and didn't much care for them, if I'm honest. The rest, not so much. And Sinners, I heard about through a meme about a month ago.
Fair.
And then when it got talked about for this podcast.
Fair. You and your MCU takes will always be wild to me, but fair enough.
It's called engagement, Jeremy. I'm fostering an environment of friendly engagement.
Yep, sure.
Friendly.
Holly, how about you? Are you familiar with any, like, the Black Panther movies? I assume probably Creed, or what did you know of Sinners before this?
Well, first of all, unlike Elle, I have taste, so I thoroughly enjoy the Black Panther movies.
I have taste. It just happens to be bad.
I have good taste.
There you go.
I didn't know a lot about Sinners, other than the fact that people were saying it was amazing. So the bar was very high going in. But
Fair.
Purposely, like, everyone was saying it's so good, I didn't look up anything about it, especially when you said we were going to do it. I'm like, I want to just, I know it has horror elements or we wouldn't be doing it. But beyond that, I didn't even know it was Michael B. Jordan until you mentioned that
Fair
was
enough.
Michael B. Jordan, because I do love him. And yeah, so I really wanted to try to go in this knowing as little as possible, because I just feel that a movie hits.
Nice, absolutely. And I will give this credit, or this trailer credit, because I think the trailer makes it, it's going to be vampires going into it, but the trailer is really good at not selling everything about it. It did a real good job of, like, you didn't really know quite what you were getting into going into it.
Mm-hmm.
For my part, I've been a fan of Coogler's since Fruitvale Station, which I saw when it came out in, I want to say it's 2013. It is a very different film from the Black Panther films, which I do very much like, the Creed films, which I also like, and I'm not even a boxing film guy, but those are good. But Fruitvale Station is it is a grounded drama based on a true story of a black man who is killed at a station of the title's name in California in 2013, and it follows like his day before that happens. And it also starred Michael B. Jordan. It was one of his first roles. So I have been a fan of Coogler's ever since. When Sinners, when it was announced and the trailer hit and everything, yes, I am all in. What you're giving me what looks like kind of maybe a period horror piece with Michael B. Jordan and also Michael B. Jordan and Haley Steinfeld. Yes, more of that, please. I am on board. So I was very, very into the idea of it going in, and yes, expectations were rather high. A little bit more generally, because it's weird, I didn't realize this before I ended up going with Sinners, and it's actually part of the reason why I wanted to go with it. Also, it gives me an excuse to watch the movie again. But this is the first vampire film that we've covered on this podcast. I mean, there have been some vague vampire-y elements in some things, I think. But this is our first straight-up vampire film. So I want to get a baseline here. Elle, how do you feel about vampires in general? Vampires in horror films specifically, and like to get an idea of like where your vampire tastes are. Do you have any vampire films that you particularly like or particularly are not a fan of?
So I think with like vampires in horror in general, it can be very easy to be beholden too much to the lore as it is. Like all the, here are their weaknesses, here's what they can do.
Right.
How far into racial stereotyping are we going without knowing it?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's fair.
Like that kind of thing. But then on the flip side of that, it's, I guess, also too easy to know that those are the tropes and then go, okay, well, we won't do any of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just becomes really weird.
Okay.
Like, there are reasons these story elements exist, and you should keep some of them, depending on which interpretation you're using.
Yeah, that's fair.
But in terms of like the favorite vampire movies, I spent all day practicing so that I could do this in a single breath.
Okay.
Every one of my favorite vampire movies. So hopefully I've got the breath for this. Blade 3, Mr. Vampire. That's it. That's all the vampire movies I've seen other than Sinners.
I'm sorry, you said Blade 3.
Yes.
All right, fair enough.
Look, when you haven't really watched any, the worst becomes the best by default.
That is fair.
I would put Mr. Vampire higher, but that's technically a Zhang-Chi rather than a vampire.
Yeah. Oh, that's fair. No, well, cultural variations on vampires definitely apply, or definitely count as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, okay. Then that puts Blade 3 at the bottom of my now 3-tier list.
Okay. Have you not seen Morbius? I would have thought you'd have seen Morbius.
No, I like my orbs where they are completely unmorbed. Thank you.
I mean, that is fair. I'm not saying it's a good movie. I'm just saying I figured you would have seen it.
Nah.
Okay, fair enough.
Not really been any of my tastes. I don't know. It's a weird spot to be in. It's just, even looking at trailers and stuff, I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah, no. I'm not
I think a lot of people agreed with me on that.
Yeah, I am not suggesting that it should get a spot in your best of list for for reference.
Top 5 vampire movies of all time.
Yeah, it's gonna show up in one of my baselines. So, Holly, how about you? How do you feel about vampire films? Vampires, not just in film, but vampires in horror in general. And what do you like and not like?
Love vampires, novels, films, everything. Maybe not so much real life, if I were to encounter one, but
Yeah.
love vampires. Hate that they sparkle now.
I mean,
I hate the current day angst vampires. I love the I mean, there's stuff I enjoy. I enjoy Vampire Diaries. I enjoy like the originals and Buffy, of course. But
right.
I really enjoy the original stuff, like Bram Stoker's Dracula, Nosferatu. I love, in more modern terms, I love Interview with a Vampire.
Mm-hmm.
Anything where the vampires are actually seen as monsters.
Right.
And not angsty teenagers that have decided to go to high school for all of eternity. Because, yeah, that's what I would be doing with my immortality.
In fairness, there's really, I mean, I feel like that's said as if it's a whole genre now, and there are a couple, but really, we're just talking about Twilight here. Like, let's put the name on the beast.
Vampire Diaries, they did go to high school.
Yes, but that's an example of where it's good.
Yes. But still, I'm not spending my immortality in a classroom.
No. The only ones that I can think of that hit that sort of Twilight-y thing, I'm sure there are others, this is just the one that I think of, is frankly just Twilight and Vampire Academy. Which is, I'll be talking about Vampire Academy briefly in a minute, but...
what are you referencing? Okay, so I've read the books, and I'm a fan of the books.
Oh, did you not know that there's a Vampire Academy movie?
Oh, I know. Did you know they also tried a TV show?
Yes, I know that they did. I don't know. It didn't go through, or was there an actual...
No. The first season came out, and it was nothing like the books, and it was garbage. And I'm sorry, if I get on this soapbox, then we're not. Yeah. The movie was more true to the books, and the movie isn't good.
The movie...
it's awful. Yeah. And it is not that true to the books. But they really went off the deep end with the TV show. They threw the source material out the window. They changed entire family relationships. A character that was supposed to be in her 40s was suddenly a hot teenager.
Yuck.
Yeah. So, no, the actual books are wonderful if you read the books. Don't go into any other Vampire Academy material.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's totally fair. So, for me, look, Vampire Dracula was legitimately probably one of my first horror fans.
Mm-hmm.
The whole Universal thing, my whole origin story, etc. So I have absolutely always had an appreciation for vampires. I think they are such a good metaphor for so much. You can use vampires for so many things. They're easily, if you're talking about the iconic monsters, they're easily the most romantic of the horror monsters. They are the most sexual. They are you can use them as a metaphor for disease. You can use them as a metaphor for anything sensual related. You can just use them to tell a great story. Vampires can really cross basically any tone of movie that you want, whether you are talking about something that is like classic gothic horror like the Hammer films, or you are doing action horror like the Underworld movies, or you are doing teen genre stuff like Vampire Academy or Twilight, but on the good side, Buffy and originals and Vampire Diaries and that sort of stuff. If you want a very indie sort of quieter treatise on aging and immortality, you can do that. You can basically do anything with a vampire. And I really appreciate it for that. My vampires that I prefer tend to be either romantic, a charming, suave, debonair, sexy, whatever, or absolute fucking monsters. Those are my two.
Maybe that's the interesting thing then, because that might be the unique factor of a vampire, is that like pseudo sex appeal.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, oh, you know, the other monster types can fit those other archetypes, but it feels like that's the vampiric niche.
It kind of is. Yeah, 100%.
And that might be why I didn't particularly care for them, because it's like, yeah, it's an interesting concept, but nothing that other types of monster don't do as well, if not better.
Mm-hmm. I can absolutely see that.
I think I would go more for ghosts than vampires in terms of what I would latch onto.
That's fair.
And maybe I'm just that asexual.
I mean, that could very much be, that could be a big reason why, and I would absolutely get that. But like, so my favorite vampire movies are gonna be things like Bram Stoker's Dracula, the Francis Ford Coppola 1990s one, is one of my absolute favorites. I think it is the best Dracula translation. But also the Hammer film, Horror of Dracula, with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing, is unreal with how good it is. But I also, even like, beyond just Dracula, there's so many good vampire films out there. I love the 1922 Nosferatu, F.W. Murnau. That is, it still holds up to this day, and it's still creepy, although, you know, tame compared to what we know now, but still creepy. And that's a really good vampire as monster with a little bit of romance in it. Robert Eggers' Nosferatu is also very good. And then just other ones that have just unique takes on vampires. Kronos, which is a Guillermo del Toro film, is really, really good. That's one of my favorites. I love Abigail, which is the 2024 From Radio Silence vampire ballerina. It's just great. It's not a metaphor for anything greater. It's just a fun, bloody ass vampire movie. And then I think the other one, the last one I'm going to list, is 2014's. This is a very different tone-wise film. 2014's A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, from Anna Lily Amirpour. Is in this sounds like the most indie like pretentious bullshit ever, and people can certainly have that take, but it is an Iranian vampire western that is very minimalist, is shot in black and white. There's not a lot of cast members, um, and it is about a old, fairly old but young looking vampire who skateboards through this sort of desolate industry town, and has her own journey as a vampire. It is fantastic. One of these days, I'm gonna have to end up putting that on our list, and we'll watch it. And Elle, I think you'll hate it, but it'll be fun to discuss.
Yeah. Sometimes that's the best type of discussion, is when something gets hated.
Absolutely. When we're talking about...
Oh, I forgot Smashing Pumpkins.
Yep. The world is a vampire.
Because the world is a vampire.
Yep. If we're talking worst, I'm just going to list off that my 4 least favorite vampire films of all time. It's not because they use vampires wrong or anything like that. They're just bad movies. And that is Morbius, Vampire Academy. So fucking bad. Vampires Suck, which is a parody of Twilight. It is from the guys who did Epic Movie and Superhero Movie and Date Movie and all of those terrible spoof movies that came out in the late aughts and early teens. And Dario Argento's Dracula, which is by far the worst vampire film I've ever seen, which is a high-low bar, and is especially depressing because it is a character I like, and it is one of my favorite Italian filmmakers, and everything is wrong about it. Up to and including the point where Dracula turns into a awful, almost like 16-bit graphics level praying mantis at one point. So that's a thing that happened. But yes,
certainly sounds like a choice that was made.
It was definitely a choice that was made. Yes. Fortunately, we're not talking about Dario Argento's Dracula, otherwise I will start yelling again. We are talking about Sinners. And so before we get into the movie itself, Elle, give us some production history on this one.
Sinners is written and directed by Ryan Coogler, starring Michael B. Jordan, Haley Steinfeld, Miles Caton, Jack O'Connell, Wunmi Mosaku, Jamie Lawson, Omar Benson Miller, and Delroy Lindo. Also Michael B. Jordan for a second time.
Yep.
So, in 2024, Coogan was riding high off the success of the Creed and Black Panther franchises. However, he wanted to work out on an original project, which turned out to be Sinners. Coogler ended up at the center of a bidding war for distribution rights to the film between Sony, Warner Brothers, and Universal. Warner Brothers ended up getting the rights and set the production budget at $80 million, which is a high price for a period horror film. Coogler asked for a unique deal for rights to the film. He wanted first dollar gross, which is basically getting a cut of the gross even before the film becomes profitable, and final cut. He also wanted ownership of the film to return to him after 25 years. Warner Brothers agreed to the deal, and the budget eventually reached $100 million. Coogler described the film as being inspired by the works of Quentin Tarantino, Robert Rodriguez, Jordan Peele, Christopher Nolan, Francis Ford Coppola, Brian De Palma, and Spike Lee, as well as the Metallica song One. The cast came together in early 2024. Miles Caton, who plays young Sammy, made his film debut in the role, while Jordan has starred in every film Coogler has produced, going all the way back to 2013's Fruitvale Station. Production began in April of 2024 in New Orleans and wrapped in July. Costume designer Ruth E. Carter came onto the film after working on Marvel's planned Blade film. When that movie stalled, Carter brought some of the costumes she designed for that film into this one. The all-important music for the film came from Coogler's frequent collaborator, Ludwig Göransson, who worked with his wife Serena and blues producer Lawrence Burr Mitchell, along with several other blues musicians. Much of the music was performed by the cast live on the set, rather than being recorded in a studio and lip-synced to. Sinners was released in theaters on April 18th, 2025, and became a massive hit. Critics scored an aggregated 97% positive rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and audiences gave it an A cinema score, a rare score indeed for a horror film. The movie was originally projected to gross $30 million in its opening weekend. It ended up bringing in $48 million, on its way to $279 million domestically and $367 million worldwide. It is, as of this recording, predicted to likely earn as many as 11 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Original Screenplay, Best Score, and several others.
Yep. Also, whoops, I forgot fun facts for this one, but oh well.
Fun facts, there are some.
Yep.
That's your job. You look them up.
So yeah, this one I it's always fun when you're doing when you start compiling the production notes. So I was like, oh no, things were fairly smooth on this particular film. There wasn't any shark malfunctions or release date massive moves or rewrites that never happened or whatever.
Lead actors that get way into playing to method and really disturbing their co-actors.
Yeah. Yep. So before we get into the plot itself, just our content warnings for this one. You have plenty of violence and blood. You have a fair amount of racism, lots of sexuality, a discussion of domestic abuse at one point, and a discussion and some themes, a plot, and some plot developments and discussion around infant mortality. So, for the movie itself, after a brief in media res scene, we have twin brothers Smoke and Stack who return home to Clarksdale, Mississippi in 1932 after years of working for the mob in Chicago. They use money stolen from gangsters to buy a sawmill from former quote-unquote KKK member Hogwood to start a juke joint. Their younger cousin Sammy, a blues performer, joins them despite his pastor father's warnings about the sins of blues music. Smoke and Stack recruit an older blues singer named Delta Slim, local Chinese shopkeepers Grace and Bo Chow, field worker Cornbread, and Smoke's ex Annie as a cook. Annie believes that her hoodoo practices have kept the twins safe, but Smoke doubts those practices for not preventing their infant daughter's death. Stack also runs into his white passing ex-girlfriend Mary, who resents him for abandoning her to protect her from the white community. Meanwhile, Remick, an Irish immigrant vampire, seeks protection from a group of Choctaw vampire hunters with a married Klansman couple, whom he very quickly turns. That night, the juke joint opens, and Sammy and Delta Slim perform, along with a singer named Perline, who Sammy takes a liking to. As Sammy performs, his talent summons spirits from the past and future in a one-stop history of black music. The magic catches the attention of the vampires, and Remick seeks entry but is refused. The twins determine that their patron's reliance on company script is going to make profit impossible for the joint. Mary, hoping to make some money from Remick and company, goes out to talk to them and unfortunately gets turned. She returns inside, no one else the wiser, and seduces Stack, biting and turning him. Sammy and Smoke encounter them and shoot Mary, who escapes as Remick turns cornbread outside. The juke joint is closed up and everybody leaves, which is a terrible decision because it means that Remick gets the opportunity to turn most of them. Stack revives and ends up fleeing after getting repelled by Annie and Pickled Garlic. Realizing that they are vampires, Annie tells the group how to fight them. Remick attempts to lure the survivors out and proceeds to anger Grace by threatening her daughter. Enraged, she invites them in, and a fight ensues in which Grace, Bo, Annie, and Delta Slim all die. Mary escapes and Perlene gets turned. Smoke and Stack fight, and Sammy has to deal with Remick. Sammy seriously injures Remick with his guitar, and Smoke ends up helping with a stake. The remaining vampires, who are now outside to watch the fight between Sammy and Remick, are burned to death by the sun. Sammy returns home in the opening scene redone, and Smoke kills all of the KKK members who return intending to kill everyone at the joint. Fatally injured, Smoke dies and reunites with Annie and their daughter in the afterlife. We then get a coda in 1992 where Sammy is now a successful blues musician. He's visited after a show by Stack, who Smoke let live, as well as Mary. They offer to turn him, but he declines and he performs for them before they leave. Sammy and Smoke agree that until things got violent, that night was the best day of their lives. End scene. Well, and then we get a final post-credit scene of young Sammy performing. That's not relevant to the plot. So yeah, that's Sinners. And there are a lot of places that I could start here to talk about, because there is a lot to talk about with this movie. But I think that it's hard to really talk about the rest of the movie without diving into the themes, of which there are a lot. Coogler is somebody who doesn't make movies that are just about nothing. There's always a very personal perspective and a lot of the themes in there. And I think Sinners is a really good example of that. This is a film that is very much about identity, particularly particularly the nuances of Black identity and how majority culture commodifies and appropriates aspects of Black culture. Now, we should acknowledge we are not part of this culture. But I think there's a lot that is really interesting and well covered here in terms of that sort of stuff that we can get into. It's also very much, at least my read on it, is very much about how majority culture invades safe places for marginalized cultures and proceeds to make them unsafe. It literally happens in the movie. How do those aspects or any other themes that you saw, how did they play to you? How do you think that they are communicated effectively? How well do you think they're woven into the narrative?
See, it's tricky because I'm also like an extra step removed.
Right.
Because I'm not into the Americana, like that type of scene.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it felt like it was a little bit blunt because maybe it needed to be more international.
Oh, I think it needed to be blunt, not just to be international, but to hit outside of Black communities, because a lot of white people aren't gonna get it because But
Yeah. So, because I see a lot of it in, I guess, in vague like terms online in the communities that I run with, because it's like, oh, make sure you're voting this November. It's like, we have compulsory elections and they're not in November, and I'm tired of hearing about your guys' elections. Sorry, but
I mean, that's fair.
you know what I mean. Things. It's like, oh, you write to your senators. It's like, mate, I don't think our local pollies give it to us. So when I do see the stuff about, oh, it's not safe for black people to walk down the street here, I'm like, cool, that is so far away from me, it means nothing.
Right.
Almost. Which I don't know how that affects me for things that happen here. Maybe there's lots of stuff going on here that I'm just not aware of, like the stuff that I am, but then not, you know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, it's like it felt blunt because I'm not getting the micro dosing of that, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm getting it in such an abstract sense,
right,
as a general purpose thing. Whereas for you guys who are closer to it, you would get like in your local news, things like that, where you would get that a smaller amount of exposure to it.
Mm-hmm.
Versus, well, obviously you're not dead in it, but you're also not like on the other side of the planet.
Right, exactly. There is, I think, there's a lot in here that, yes, I recognize, and I understand, and I definitely empathize and feel with and see it as a problem. I don't. I don't have I don't have a culture that can be appropriated, but I do have a culture that can be made unsafe where we have safe spaces. Um, ask anybody who's ever been to a gay bar, particularly anytime recently, and how the those are safe spaces that are made incredibly unsafe. Um, Even outside of that, there's like outside of queer or race or things like that, there are a number of communities that become safe spaces, and then very quickly when they start to become more popular are very credited. I always think of what there is there's a meme that is, large group of individuals telling one particular person, go make your own space. And then that one person then gathers people, gathers a small group of like-minded in this one particular box, and they're like, you're not letting us in, you're excluding us. Is force their way in, and then say, go make your own space.
I mean, anytime I've tried to engage with the local non-binary community,
Mm-hmm.
I have been told that I am not welcome because I don't look non-binary enough.
Oh, well, that's a yeah.
Yeah. So
That's a whole
there
thing.
is definitely a criteria that people are judging it by where it shouldn't be one.
Absolutely.
So I guess that maybe is that a safe space becoming too safe?
I don't. I mean, that is a whole thorny issue in and of itself.
Yeah, exactly.
There is a difference between safe and exclusionary.
Yeah.
But anyways, regarding this film, I agree with you. I don't think it is the most subtle, but I think it's effective because it's not subtle. I think subtle would have been a bad idea here.
Yeah. Like, if it was even a little bit more subtle, it probably would have gone over my head because of, like, as I said, that distance between my universal frame of reference.
100%.
Whereas even at that level, that still might have landed with you guys.
Yeah. Potentially, yes.
It's the high school
It's
problem. It's like,
yes.
my experience of high school is so vastly different from what you guys would have gone through and what I see presented in media.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, that is profoundly weird. I do not understand it.
But yeah, especially since there's like, if nothing else here in America, well, at least when I was going through high school, that didn't make me sound old at all. Like, you're steeped at the very least in the history of post, Jim Crow era South, and all the fucked up stuff that happened even between after the Civil War, Reconstruction, Jim Crow era stuff up until and then including the Civil Rights era. So we at least have that grounding that you probably don't necessarily have.
Nope. I had to also look it up because of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what are they talking about? The Crow guy? It's like, there's not a reference to the movie. That's in the wrong era for that.
Yep.
But yeah, because it's just such a non-thing.
That absolutely makes sense. Yeah, I like a lot how I like that Coogler makes it not subtle, because I think subtlety has a time and place. And I think this is a movie where putting it out there is important, with the tone that this has. And also, I think it's well written enough in that it doesn't feel... There are times where you can go unsubtle, and it feels like it's... the themes and the plot are oil and water. They are completely separated from each other. Here, the themes seem very intrinsic and built into the plot, and they actually weave together in a way that makes sense to me. And I think that it comes across very well. Holly, how about you? How well do you think that the themes here are carried off? Was there anything else in terms of, like, the thematic stuff that resonated with you or that didn't?
So, completely opposite of Elle. I'm from the South.
Right.
I've lived my entire life in the South.
Yep.
Which is a different experience. Now, I am not Black. I am not going to pretend to even have an ounce of knowledge of what that community goes through.
Right.
That said, my mother, from an early age, we used to check out books from the library about, like, Underground Railroad, the invention of blues, all of this. And she actually taught me, I'll reference it later, several songs that were sung in this movie because she really liked that style of music. And she thought it was very important for me to learn even the bad things about the South and our history, to learn from our mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So viewing it from that angle, this movie can't be subtle. Not at all.
No.
If it's subtle, it wouldn't be as good as it is.
Yeah.
You can't be subtle about any of this. It's not subtle in the South at all. It is still very much a thing here.
Yep.
There is a lot of racism and just hatred towards both groups, really, down here.
Yeah.
So I think that the movie does a very good job of portraying what it's like. I mean, I did not grow up in the South in the 1930s.
Right.
But I enjoy history. I enjoy that genre usually, that decade. So from what I have learned, I think the portrayal is very accurate.
Yeah. No, legit. And it does a very good job of like just the way Coogler sets everything up. There are some scenes in here where I think the first one that really got me in a oh wow, this is what we're doing here is it's early on when Smoke heads into the city and he goes to Grace and Bo's place. Bo's there and he wants to get this sign and Bo tells Lisa, their daughter, to go get her mom. And you see them walk across the street, and you see going from, for lack of a better way to put it, the side of the street that is the minorities
Mm-hmm.
into the white side of the street, and you hear like just the conversations change. And you know goes over there. She goes and gets Grace. Grace walks back, and you hear it again, and you hear that shift. It lays out like so very clearly, like how that's sort of set up, and it just gives a crystal clear sort of mindset to how that segregation is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really, really well done. So another major theme that we have, a little bit different from that. This film has a lot to say, or at least it talks a lot about faith and spirituality. There is a whole lot of between Sammy's father and the pastor, the Christian aspects of it. The number of times we hear the term devil used in one way or another. And then you've got Annie's hoodoo. And I think that's a big part of this film, and a big part for a number of reasons. I think faith is a big part of Black culture, but it's also a very complicated relationship as 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 I understand it to be. Holly, how do you think the way that it talks about and addresses these different aspects of faith and religion, because faith and religion are two separate things, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how do you think about how this film approaches
Let me think. I think, I mean, very accurately from, especially the beginning, the blues, the devil, like,
right?
Again, I have grown up around this.
Mm-hmm.
I may not be Black, but I have grown up around this community. And I am very familiar with that mindset of, oh yeah, no, you're playing music, you're going to a rock concert, you're gonna, for me, it's more rock than blues, but yeah, you're gonna bring on the devil. Why don't you just concentrate on good Christian music? Yeah. Very, very accurate portrayal. I've I know Sammy's dad. I've met him a few times
Right.
in my past. And I will say, like, one point at towards the end, I don't want to just like jump to the end, but when Sammy was in the water and started saying the Lord's Prayer, I was like, that was my mindset of that's what I would start doing, or something
Right.
similar to that.
Yeah, legit. Fair enough. Elle, how about you? There is, I mean, this is again, this is something that you're not necessarily engaged with as much. How do you think the film approaches and interacts with its faith and spirituality aspects?
Like, it felt very natural, but also still in that blunt as blunt as a sack of bricks.
Oh yeah, a lot of the themes in this movie are straight out said in the dialogue. Like, very
Which
much
again
so.
I appreciated, because then it's not like, it's not there as background fluff.
Right.
It's not there as a joke or as to be made fun of.
Yep.
It just simply is, full stop, and it is relevant.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, because of the disconnect of culture and involvement, I appreciated that, because that was necessary.
Right.
Because the only times I've seen a lot of even Christianity is either like left wing atheists pointing out the flaws of things, or
right.
Super right wing individuals who use that as a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And for the more esoteric, like the voodoo side of things, I have only seen in some parts of fiction where it's like, oh yeah, no, this is the actual real power behind the universe.
Right.
So having all that being blunt but intrinsically tied to it, I think worked very well. But of course, anyone who listens to blues knows that you gotta put the devil in there somewhere.
Yep, for sure.
Even if you'd never touch religion with a 10-foot pole.
Yep, absolutely.
Devil at the crossroads coming for you.
Fucking God, Robert Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there are a lot of things that I really like about how this film approaches faith and faith versus religion. I like that the movie exactly what you said, Elle, in that there's a lot of nuance in both. In both types, how to put this, both avenues of belief that this film goes down. There's a lot of good that's portrayed in the Christianity parts. There's a lot of good that's portrayed in the hoodoo parts. But both also get their share of criticism too. There's a lot of nuance here, basically. There's a couple lines. Like I said, this film basically spells out a lot of its themes within the dialogue. And there's a scene where it's Delta, I believe it's Delta in the car with Sammy, where he tells him they're talking about the blues, And he talks about how the blues wasn't forced on us by like that religion. We brought it with us from home. It's magic. And yet, by the same token, there is a lot of characters who have very positive interactions with their faith in this movie. So it kind of it explores that nuanced sort of relationship, which I think most people have with religion, one way or the other. And does it in a very interesting way that doesn't, again, it's not subtle, but it doesn't come off as preachy. Pun not intended.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, talking about blues and religion, this movie has music. This movie talks about music. This movie is about music in a lot of ways. The music is in a large part giving us the background for most of these themes. The music is very much interwoven with the aspects of faith. It is very much interwoven with the aspects of identity and again, culture appropriation, the way that white culture takes all the good shit from black music, and again, there's a line in this movie. It was something to the effect of, white folks like the blues just fine. They just don't like the people who made it. And it's also the way that it's also the way that Coogler is using the music does a lot towards setting the tone. So L, I mean, and we will talk about the particular scene, because I feel like you can't talk about the music without talking about that part. But L, first of all, are you a blues fan? And how did you appreciate how the music in this score is treated, and how effective or not effective it is for you?
Blues, not as much. Like, there's a bit that I like, more like jazz, if we're looking at that type of like cultural evolution. For me, I found myself really enjoying the vampire music, like that more like traditional Irish,
The folk stuff.
Yeah, just because it's kind of what I've been jamming on recently, just by sheer coincidence.
Fair enough.
But I can definitely appreciate that it was very well picked for each scene, and like it was like expertly placed and timed and coordinated through the entire thing.
Right.
I did think the veil piercing was a bit much. But I get that it's like it is important to the story, but it's like yeah, this is a bit, in a film about supernatural vampires, it's a little bit over the top.
See, I will disagree with you there, but that's going to get into my World of Darkness point about the movie. But
well, that's the thing. I still enjoyed that scene,
right?
But then in comparison, it's like this almost feels like a hat on a hat.
A little bit, but I'm okay with a hat on a hat in this case.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that's fair. That is fair.
Yeah, it's just like just a little much on the supernatural scale for me.
Fair enough.
But not enough to particularly criticize.
Right. That is absolutely fair. Holly, being a blues fan, how did you like the music here? How did you like how it was executed? Uh, how it contributes to the tone and themes, etc., etc., etc.
So, and I'm going to start with something because I had a very just powerful emotional moment with this movie. So I'm going to start with that. Then I'm going to go into get the music plays such a big part for me.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
So, setting aside the blues just for right now on the Irish folk that was sung through this movie, because my mother had a lot of Irish heritage. And so I grew up with her singing these songs. And there was a moment, the scene where the three vampires are sitting singing when Mary is approaching them.
Mm-hmm.
And they are singing, Will Ye Go, Lassie Go?
Right.
It's a song my mom used to sing when I was a kid.
Oh,
and
wow.
I closed my eyes for a bit, and it was like I could hear her singing along. And I opened my eyes and didn't even realize that I was crying at that moment.
Wow.
And I think that with the setting, and it was just, the whole thing was very hauntingly beautiful. And I think it really just added another element to the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But beyond that, visiting the blues aspect of things,
right.
That scene, which when I say that scene, I thought it was just incredible. I mean, the way it sounded, the way it was shot too, from a filming standpoint, it flowed seamlessly with the cultures of the past, the present, and the future all being there, and they all looked like they belonged.
Yes.
And it was just incredible. I love that scene.
It is high on my list of the top movie scenes of the year. If not number one. Like, it was jaw-dropping in a way that, because like Elle, you're right. It is very over the top, and it is a hat on a hat, but it's also because it is it's so well shot. It's shot in a way that you don't really realize what's happening until you're into it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you see, and I don't remember specifically like what the first thing that's a little anachronistic is. I feel like it might be like a traditional African something like that, but you're like, huh, that's a little weird for that to be in there. That's a little, wait, what's that? What's going on? It is so perfectly done, and by the time that you realize what's going on, you are fully into that scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It is stunning.
Like I said, I had no specific problems with it. It's just like we're already getting into a bit of it, and then all of a sudden music is magic as well.
Yep. 100%. And I get why that's a lot. But yeah, the way that this film, obviously we've got all the blues stuff, and the performers are fucking phenomenal. Miles Gayton, which we have to give credit to this kid who, this is his first film role ever.
Which one, Sammy?
Young Sammy.
Okay, yeah.
That was his first. He had done a TV. I don't remember what he'd done on TV, but he had done something on TV. But this was essentially this was his first big screen role.
Mm-hmm.
Buddy Guy. His performance, like a traditional actual blues performer there. Delroy Lindo is as Delta Slim. they're all just phenomenal performers. The fact that these were all sung live on set is fantastic, because we've seen what happens when it doesn't necessarily work as well when it's sung live on set. Les Mis.
Oh, don't get me started on that.
I admire your audacity for thinking that you can do Les Mis with live singing.
No.
I said I admired the audacity, not the execution. But it's so good. And then the choices of the songs for the ones that are traditional songs. The one that really stands out to me is Pick Poor Robin Clean. Because again, that's a song that is literally selling the themes of the movie. Because it is a song about how white people go in and take everything that's good about other societies, specifically black societies in this case, but aren't interested in the body. I guess right there in the lyrics. So yeah, it's all just, even as someone who, I like the blues, I'm not a heavy fan of the blues, partially because it's not, I grew up not being introduced to country music and saying, nope, that's not my thing. Now, I like older country music and bluegrass, so I do have some appreciation for the blues, and if it's on, I do enjoy it, but it's never been my genre. Still, the way that it's used here is fucking fantastic. The veil piercing scene, like I've already gone through that, but it's so effectively done. And every bit of music in this feels very intentionally picked. It's a weird balance, because there's a lot of times that a score can sort of sit in the background and it's not obtrusive, and that's the right choice for that movie. This one is not that. Like, even just the general score stuff, it is very present the whole time. But it works because of that. Like, I feel like if it had tried to do sort of a softer, maybe lower in the mix kind of thing, I don't think it would have been as good as it is here. So yeah, needless to say, I think the score and the music and everything is top notch and helps make this a better film. Speaking of things that will make or break a film, not one of my best segues, but we'll go with it.
Look, we've had worse.
We've had worse. We have absolutely had worse. Segues are not one of my greatest strengths. It's fine.
Have you tried a unicycle?
We have a hell of a cast here. We've got Michael B. Jordan. We've got double Michael B. Jordan. We have Haley Steinfeld and Wunmi Masaku playing our romantic characters, and Jamie Lawson. You have Delroy Lindo and Omar Benson Miller giving us a little bit of comic relief, but not just comic relief. Like, there's no straight out comic relief character. You have the actor and actress who are playing Grace and Bo, whose names I don't have in front of me at the moment, so I'm not going to remember them, because whoops. And then you've got Jack O'Connell playing Remick, our antagonist vampire. I would argue not the worst villain in the film, but definitely a villain in the film.
I mean, I would be willing to give him worst villain in the film, because the other one is like, that's a villain from real life.
Oh, yes, yeah, that is fair.
Yeah.
I was much more interested in seeing the other villain die than Remick, although I still wanted to see Remick die.
Yeah.
Elle, how do you like? First off, what do you think of Jordan in the dual roles to Zagorki? Because that is a tricky thing to pull off. Like, there are a number of movies that have cast one actor in two roles, and it doesn't work. So, how do you think Jordan pulled that off? And who do you particularly like or dislike among the supporting cast, with the characters and how they're written and performed and everything?
I mean, it was very well done, the dual role. I thought because I ended up getting the special X-ray edition for rental.
Okay.
So it kept popping up with special, like, the fun facts. And, here's
yes.
this cast member again, and this, that, and the other. Slightly annoying. I probably won't be doing that again. I thought it had broken because it kept popping him up twice. But I guess that's testament to how well he's able to play twins but still make them distinct.
Yes.
Because even, like, I was trying to look, it's like, I can't really tell.
Yeah.
Like, I was having trouble telling that they were the same person.
100%.
So, yeah, you got to give him credit for that.
Yeah.
And then after finding that out, that it was the same person, and two, was not a mistake, how well the editing was done. Because I've seen a lot of things where it's like, you know, one person talking to themselves on a green screen and then doing the reverse shot, or even worse, when they're like over the shoulder to a stunt double. And it's like the stunt double is a foot shorter and with blonde hair instead of red.
Yeah, it can take you out real quick.
And yeah, it's just very well done on that editing, on the special effects there. Unless there weren't special effects, they were practical effects, and they actually cloned him and then killed the clone afterwards. I don't know. I wasn't there.
We've got a Michael Bay the Island situation going on here.
I mean, so out of then the main cast, like Delta Slim, I think ended up being my favorite just because of the way he portrayed it. And I mean, Cornbread is just like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever.
We need the comic relief character, so this will be the comic relief character. Yeah,
and I think we could have done without it.
I think it's important to have him in there because otherwise you don't have any comedy at all. I mean, a little bit. There will be a little bit in there.
But does it specifically need it? Or is it more of a, we need to counterbalance this, or worse, we're told we have to have this on a checklist?
I don't think it's checklisty. I think it is. I was going to mention this a little bit when we get into the how well it does its horror content, but this is actually probably a better place to do it. Ryan Coogler is very good at making films that are popcorn films with heavy themes in them, and that's important to the popcorn element to it. It is the spoonful of sugar, etc., etc., etc. So I think it was important. It's important for it to be in there. He could have done it without, and if this film had a lot less humor in it, I don't think it would have been a less effective film. I think it would have been a less successful film.
I think you could almost replace him as an animated cat in overalls chewing on a length of grass, and it wouldn't have changed that much.
You're not necessarily wrong. It's a good performance,
In
but
that,
you're not wrong.
Yeah, but it's just like that specific portrayal with that element of comedy. It's like, it's a bit of a weird spot to be in.
Yeah, that's fair.
But yeah, those were the two that stood out for better or worse.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the others kind of blended in a bit.
Okay.
But I think that's more because I was looking at the larger picture, because I was trying to take in more elements of the culture for not having that background in it.
Right. No, for sure. That makes sense.
So it's not that they put on a bad performance and then didn't stand out. It's that my brain tuned them out to try and get the bigger scope.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I think if I watched it again, it's like, well, I have all this background now. I can tune out what the houses look like.
Yeah.
Because again, another fun fact, it's like, oh, the roof that was specifically painted blue is because that's meant to ward off ghosts.
Yep.
And it's like, cool, I didn't need that when I'm meant to be reading subtitles, thanks.
Yeah, the X-ray Prime Video.
Yeah, it's the only way it was available for me.
Yeah, the X-ray stuff. There are a couple things that it's actually kind of cool with, but it is overbearing sometimes. I agree.
I remember watching Pop-Up Video on MTV.
Yes.
And it's like, I know there are fun facts about Girls on Film by Duran Duran, right. I think it was. It's also the first music video to feature full frontal nudity. So can you not have that pop up there at the moment? Thanks very much.
Legit.
But yeah, so it's going into it with now that background on a second rewatch. If I'm able to push my brain into it, I think I will appreciate the acting much more.
That's fair. That is absolutely fair.
But yeah.
Holly, how about you? How do you like the Michael B. Jordan? And which characters among these the rest of the ensemble cast, which ones really worked for you? Which ones didn't necessarily work so
well? Don't do this to me. Like they were all amazing. I'm like I'm trying to. So the cast was incredible. First of all, though, Michael B. Jordan, it's one of my on-screen boyfriends, as I call him. Going into this, not knowing he was playing a pair of twins, and I was like, I get two. I was very excited.
You're like, I have a new favorite movie to put on mute in the background as I work.
Oh, there's two of them.
Yeah, he was amazing in both parts. He always is. He's. I was surprised to just now discover that, and I can't remember his name. Sammy.
Yeah.
Yes, that this was his first on-screen role, because he was just incredible. He did such a wonderful job with the music, the character. It just fantastic. Other standouts, and I am sorry, I'm going to be using character names because I can't remember all the actors' names.
Legit.
Mary and Annie for me. I absolutely love the character of Grace.
Yes.
I know it's a smaller part, but I very much did relate to her in the part where she's like, I have to leave or I have to do something because they're going to go get my daughter. And I can't. And I'm helpless right now.
Grace gets a lot of shit as a character online because of her inviting the characters in, and I will defend her on that. What was your plan otherwise?
I was yelling at someone to do it. No,
Yeah.
I would have done the same thing.
Like, there's no you're not going to stay in there all night.
Yeah.
Eventually, they're going to figure out a way to get in. They've already gotten in like 4 times.
Mhm. Well, and some of them can get in.
Yeah.
Because Mary was already invited in.
Right. Yeah, she can just walk. Yep. 100%.
To go against Elle again. Cornbread is great. He's the guy you invite to the party. He's the guy that brings the alcohol to the barbecue. You want him there. Yeah. He's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, in my defense, the last party I had, Darth Vader showed up to give me a birthday cake. I would have been 6.
Okay, because I had some follow-up questions. Okay, well, then you need to come over here. We'll have a party. We'll invite Cornbread.
Yep.
And it'll be great.
It'll be fun.
I'm not paying for that.
Yeah, I mean, I can go on and on about everyone's performance in this. Sure. Really, it's fantastic. Those are my standouts, but everyone is so great.
I'm going to give you the easiest quiz in the world. Guess who my favorite character was in this?
I don't know. See, I feel like it's a trick question.
Hogwood.
No.
So off the top,
you failed the quiz, Al.
Fair enough.
Off the top of my head, I want to say Mary.
Yep.
Okay, cool. I passed.
Listen, if you put a character in a movie and she says things like, oh God, come on, you can steal, so you rob trains and banks, but you can't steal this pussy for a night.
Yeah.
Or I heard you loud and clear, but then you stuck your tongue in my coos and fucked me so hard I figured you changed your mind.
I almost forgot about that one. Yeah. And that was when we first met her, too.
Uh-huh.
That's the introduction. The bar is already high.
Like, yeah, you've got me on your side as a character. But, like, even just beyond that, I think she occupies a very interesting space in this film that none of the other characters particularly occupy, because she is the white passing character. And I think Coogler does a lot with Coogler and Haley Steinfeld do a lot with a honestly fairly limited amount of screen time. Like, Mary isn't on the screen for nearly as much time as some of the other characters.
First half of the movie, she's on there a decent amount, and then things kind of fall off for a bit.
Yeah, she vanishes from that point. But in that sort of limited space, they're able to take that character and explore some really interesting aspects of sort of the messy nuance of what identity is. So I like what she represents in that way. I think it is a great performance. I think the chemistry between her and Jordan is fucking off the charts. To be fair, the chemistry between Jordan and Wunmi Misaki is also off the charts. But yeah, I fucking adore that character. I also very much like Delroy Lindo as Delta Slim.
Mm-hmm.
He takes what in a lot of lesser movies would be a very tropey character. The salty old alcoholic blues character, blues player. and adds a lot of shades and depth and gravitas to that character. And he is delivering lines, and they're not badly written lines, they're very well written lines, but in the hands of a lesser performer, they would come off as awkward exposition. And I'm thinking about, like, when he's talking about, there's a lot of, when they're in the car and he's talking about, it's when they've just driven past the work gang, the chain gang.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know which
And
scene you're talking about.
he's
Yeah.
talking about when he was busted for vagrancy, and he and a couple others were taken to perform for rich white folks. All that kind of, that story could come off really badly with a lesser performance, because it is very exposition-y and on the nose. Again, I think it's written well, but could go bad. He makes it work, and he does a lot of those sort of thesis statements. The the white folks like the blues, they just don't like the people who made it, and the blues wasn't forced in on us like that religion, and all of that kind of stuff that is generally put on that character, and he does such a good job with it. It's not a surprise, because Delroy Lindo is just a fantastic actor who I've enjoyed in, even if the movies aren't good, he's always good in it. I was initially very worried about Michael B. Jordan just in the first scene, because the first scene we see him, the Smoke and Stack are sitting on the car, and one is very clearly this is the character wearing the blue hat, and this is the character wearing the red hat. And I was like, oh God, are they are they doing this, and are they going to set it up where we are going to have to keep track of which hats they're wearing in order to know which one it is? And then immediately, like, no, like in that specific scene, you very quickly see, oh no, this isn't something that we need to worry about, because they are two entirely different characters, and he's doing so good with those performances.
I was a little distracted during that scene because that's when I realized there was two of them.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But you have even that scene, so it's such a good scene because, first of all, there's two Michael B. Jordans. I agree with you. But second of all, you see these two characters, and instantly you know who these are as characters, because Stack has just a little bit of swagger, a little bit of a smile to him, and Smoke is all dead fucking serious.
Mm-hmm.
And you right away, okay, these are who these particular characters are going to be. I agree with you. Every character is great. Jack O'Connell, I think, does a really good job as Remick. That is a character who could have easily been, how to put it, generic vampire.
Right.
And I think he adds a lot to it. I want to give a shout out also to some characters that we see for literally half a scene and then wander off, which is the Choctaw characters. There's a whole other movie involving them that I would love to see.
Which characters?
The native characters who are chasing.
Yes. Yes.
But I love how they chase him down. They get up. They see, oh, these are some. I see what we're gonna have to be dealing with if we try to get inside to deal with this. This is some white people shit, and they just fuck right off. Like, nope, this is not our problem anymore. They are the smart characters. Yeah, it's just they're all great characters. I don't think there's a bad performance in the cast. there are some characters who probably register a little bit less to me. I think that, Perline is, she has her moments to shine, and she absolutely shines. But other than that, I think she fades into the background a little bit. Not out of anything that's wrong. That's just that character's role.
Mm.
I do. Cornbread's pretty good. I do agree. The comedy. It's very clearly, this is the point where it's like, okay, here's for the comedy beats. But I think that's intentional. It doesn't bother me. Yeah, it's just,
Yeah, I think for me it's like that, like the veil scene where it's just like just a touch over the top.
That's fair.
Like it was boiled for 3 minutes and 20 seconds when 3 minutes exactly is good.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, there's not a bad performance in this bunch, and anybody who might potentially get awards, Michael B. Jordan, deserves them. So talking a little bit about the horror content, this is kind of a tale of two movies. It's very psycho in that respect, because we have about 50 minutes of, okay, this is a period sort of crime drama about these two brothers coming home and dealing with, everything that they're going to have to deal with. And then we get vampires. But once we get the vampires, we get full, sticky, bloody, glory fucking vampires. And I would argue there are some horror elements that even lead up to that. L, how does the genre stuff play to you? Like, is there enough of it? Does it hurt it that it waits too long? Do you appreciate how that works?
I think it did go a little bit long for me.
Okay.
It's like, again, it's like they're setting all this up to then have the big payoff, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But I was a little bit of, when are they getting to the fireworks factory?
That's fair.
It's like, I think if I didn't know as much about it, even the little that I knew about it going in, where it's just like, okay, there is horror here somewhere, I'll just go.
Right.
But because it's like, okay, I have heard it's about vampires, it's like a more period piece, and having those elements like in mind, I was just a bit like it's been how long? Come on, pick it up a bit.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's like not that it was done badly.
Right.
I think it's just because of my specific experience with it.
It's a taste thing.
Well, that, and again, it's like some of the characters fell away because my brain was focusing in a different area.
Yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, and then with the genre elements of it, it's like, okay, my brain has picked up all these pieces, cool, I'm good to go. What do you mean there's still another 10, 15 minutes?
Yep.
Okay, now I'm like having to pull back on the brake to not exactly, like, not to overshoot.
Right. That is legit. And the ending is, I get that. Don't get me wrong, I love the ending, but I absolutely get that.
Yeah, I think that's my theme for this entire episode is none of it was bad.
Right.
But here are the specific things that made it specifically not good.
Fair enough.
For me.
For you, yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
Holly, how about you? How well was did it take too long to get to the genre, to the bloody shit and the that stuff for you? Is it about right? How, once we got to that stuff, how well was it carried off?
So, my favorite type of movies are period pieces. So, I really would have been fine continuing with these characters and just, seeing how things went, even if there were no vampires and we were dealing with the KKK,
Yeah,
which
it
we
would
did
have been.
later. But
Yeah, it would have been. This is a movie. I think obviously we wouldn't be talking about it here if it was the case, but I think if Coogler was just like, I'm gonna make a period crime drama about a couple of brothers fleeing the mob and having to deal with the KKK in 1930s Mississippi, that could have been a perfectly good film.
mm-hmm. And I I don't really think that, I mean, yes, it took 50 minutes for horror elements to enter in. There are so many characters, though. And I think that the pacing was really well done with giving us a glimpse into all of the characters and setting things up so that when everything started happening, you care about these characters. You know about their lives.
Yep.
All of them, not just the main ones, even the secondary ones or the ones you may have only met for one scene.
Right.
And that's something that I feel the movie does very well. And honestly, I wish I had gone into this completely blind without knowing there were horror elements, because that would have been a fantastic surprise.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what my reaction would have been at that point, because I would have thought, oh yeah, this is a great period piece.
Yep. Great period piece. Oh, okay. Now we're going back to the there's a K reference. Okay, now he's going. Wait, what's going on? Why is he bloody? Why is he on the ground?
That's a lot of blood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I for me it works mostly because there's so much good stuff going on in that 50 minutes, and there's definitely some stuff that's ominous. That's like, I think the snake scene, even being clear CGI, is great. And that's just, I mean, there's metaphor stuff in there as well, but it definitely adds a little bit of a. That was my jump scare moment.
Which moment?
When they stop the truck, or they go to the back of the truck, and I think it's Sammy pulls the thing up, and there is a snake there.
Oh, yes.
That was my jump scare moment, and I jump scared again on this watch, despite knowing that it was coming. But there are little things like that that have horror teases. Like, they're not. That scene could absolutely be a not horror movie, but if you know it's a horror movie, that's horror content right there. It's designed to jolt you, and yeah. Once it gets bloody, I think the blood is good. I think that it's doing good stuff. In terms of a lot of that, there are some absolutely tragic fucking scenes in the back half of this. That I really, really enjoy. Again, I will be a defender of Grace. I think that, like, even if you think it was a bad idea to let her in, what were you going? What was she going to do?
It was going to end that way either way. At least it happened on her own terms.
At least it happened on her own terms. And even if you think she was wrong, it is an understandable wrong because of what she was just told. And Bo was not incorrect. Bo and Remick, they knew where the daughter was. If that didn't happen, Lisa was fucked.
Yes.
I can only think of one serious problem with Grace's choices there. You shouldn't wear gasoline instead of clothes.
Yeah, that's fair.
She went up super quick.
Well, because she got pushed, it was two things. One, she got pushed into the fire of the Molotov, and B, she was struggling with Bo, who is on fire, and we all know vampires go up like a chimney.
Yeah, but it's like, did she get turned in between shots as well that we didn't see?
Could have been.
She went up just as quick.
She did go up quick. I think it was. I think the assumption is that she got pushed into the accelerant that was causing the Molotov. But yeah, no, she did go up quick, and also I think it's just this pacing thing because you don't want to spend too much time on that one.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no,
you don't want someone screaming as they burn just for hours.
But
it does also make me wonder about vampire physiology, because it's like, why do they have the fangs? Is it just to rip out a throat? Or are they involved in the actual blood sucking process? Because if that's the case, why can none of them drink properly? They're always covered in blood.
Yeah, that's fair.
No one's inviting them to dinner. They are not polite. They can't keep the food out of off the napkins that they're provided.
Yep.
No one's inviting them in at the beginning of the case anyway.
True. But yeah, I think the content is fine. This is where I get to go on my... So this is a movie that I think should be required viewing for anybody who plays World of Darkness stuff. Because while it's not a World of Darkness story, the way vampires work is not how vampires in Vampire the Masquerade work. They're all not a hive mind and stuff like that. Some of them are, but that's particular nuances. This is the most World of Darkness movie I've ever seen. In terms of how all of the different supernatural and magical and spiritual aspects play out. It's telling topical, a thematically resonant story with vampires in a world that definitely feels grounded and very much a part of our history. But it also has Annie, who is clearly, and this is probably a sorcerer of some kind. You have the veil piercing scene is one of the clearest representations I've ever seen on screen of how mage style magic would work. And the way it has all of this stuff interacting with each other in a very smooth, seamless way, it's just fucking fantastic. It has just a hint. It's period Southern Gothic, but is absolutely Southern Gothic in style. It's just... It hits on everything all the way up to the coda, which we haven't even gotten into that scene because that is, again, one of my favorite scenes of the movie. Like, it is all just perfectly set up and hits on things that I love and are why I enjoy playing Vampire the Masquerade, Mage of the Ascension. If there had been mention of werewolves in here somewhere, that would have probably been just the last thing that we were missing. But if a werewolf shows up, then the vampires are screwed. So, but yeah, I think the genre stuff is all incredibly effective, and like I said, there's enough popcorn movie stuff in here while still approaching significant thematic weight. Kind of the same way that Black Panther does. Kind of the same way that Scream does. This is a hallmark for Jordan, and he does it really, really well. I would argue this is probably the most successful that he's done. Because it's all seamless. It's just really good, and I like it. So, moving on a little bit from Sinners, but we'll get right back to it. Let's talk recommendations. Elle, somebody like this, what would you recommend to people?
I was initially going to say that I have not seen anything like this,
Fair.
but something did come to mind, and I realize it's maybe a little bit out there.
Okay.
6 Feet Under.
Interesting. We're talking about the TV show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel that it has the same level of play with themes.
Uh-huh.
Not the same themes, obviously,
Right.
but in how it focuses in on them and goes deep in a way.
I can see that.
So
I can absolutely see
so while it's not horror, it's not especially supernatural or anything like that. It's just it is that. I'm just trying to think of the best analogy. It's like it is that dark taste.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a very, very flavorful hit on the palate.
Right. I can absolutely see that. Holly, how about you? What would you give as a recommendation to somebody who was interested in more of this kind of thing?
So it is hard to figure out recommendations because there is nothing quite like this. This is very unique.
For sure.
But I do have a mini series that I would recommend. Okay. And that would be, oh my gosh, it just left my mind. There it is. Okay, sorry. That would be Midnight Mass.
Oh, yes.
Because, yeah, you have, I'm not going to reveal anything, but there are definite similarities. And the way things are done, I mean, just watch it from start to finish. It is beautiful.
I didn't even think about that, but 100%. That is perfect. Yeah. Good stuff. I love Mike Flanagan. Anything he does, I'm in on. So I have a couple. I have one if you are interested in the vampire stuff, and one if you're interested in the thematic stuff. For vampire, I'm going to recommend Near Dark. This is from 1987. It is directed by Catherine Bigelow. It stars Adrian Pasdar, who most people at this point recognize as the politician from Heroes. And it has Bill Paxton in it, Lance Hendrickson, and it is a vampire story about with strong Western feel to it. About a couple vampire goes high in his very sort of dangerous vampire family comes looking for him, and things happen from there. It is great. It is one of the better 1980s vampire films, and that's a high bar. Because, Lost Boys exists, and The Hunger exists. The other recommendation I'm going to give is really any Jordan Peele film, but specifically I'm going to go with Us from 2019. Us is Get Out is arguably, I would say Get Out is probably objectively the better film between them. Us is my favorite of his. It is because it is more of a straight horror film, where Get Out is, I hesitate to call it a horror comedy, but it's definitely a little more satirical, I will say.
Dark comedy, I guess, ish.
Yeah, kind of. Whereas Us is just a straight horror film. And it definitely has a few funny moments in it. But it's powerful, it is well acted, it is creepy as all fuck, and it is as thematically interesting, I think, maybe even a little bit more interesting, maybe sacrilegious to say, than Get Out, where I think Get Out is very. The themes there again are not subtle. I think Us is saying things in a little bit more subtle, but intriguing way. Both great. It's a difference between an 8 and like an 8.9 and a 9 out of 10. So it's not like there's a huge difference. But yeah, so those are my recommendations. So let's give our final thoughts on Sinners. Holly, what do you overall think of it? What's your star rating for it?
Okay, I've thought a lot about this. I love this movie. I love it so much I will not let Austin watch it. I described it to him last night, and he was like, "Wow, do you think, you think it would be my thing?" I'm like, "No, because you're going to pull the movie apart, and I'm going to kill you."
Yeah, that's fair.
He does not understand like emotion in relation to music,
right?
And I'm like, "No, I will hurt you."
And that is a really important part.
And I described that to him, and he's like, "Okay, yeah, I see why
yeah.
I wouldn't get it." So just okay. I've never done this before, or I have yet to do this. I'm gonna give it 5. 5 out of 5. Emotional folk songs.
Yep, that's fair. Elle, how about you?
Oh yeah, it was alright, I reckon. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Maybe I'm overly critical on myself for these because it's like, well, I don't know what constitutes a 5 out of 5. 100% of a movie is. Does anything have anywhere to go after that?
Right.
These are questions I don't know. So, I mean, for me, I'd give it a 4 out of 5 at the moment, and that might be pending any potential rewatches.
That's
I don't
legit.
know.
And to be fair, this is the first time I've heard you potentially be open to rewatching a movie within like the next 10 years after seeing it.
Oh, it'll still take me a while.
Oh, for sure. No, 100%.
Again, my brain holds on to stories very well.
Right.
Unfortunately, so. But yeah, so what was I going to do? 4 El Kabong guitars out of 5.
A lot higher than I thought you were going to give it.
I that was about where I had you pegged on this one.
I love how there's just the backstage betting pool.
Oh, I do it. I do it for both of you. I'm like, okay, I wonder where it's gonna go. Me, I think this is really close to a perfect film. It, despite the fact that I've done it a few times already, it actually is really hard for me to give something a 5 out of 5. I think, look, everything in here is doing great work. There are some truly. This is my number one film of 2025, unless something pops up in, as of this recording, the next 30 days. This will be my top film of the year. I think it is It is saying so much. It is doing it in a really entertaining way. There are sequences in this movie that stayed with me from when I watched it in April till now, and will continue to stay with me. I think if I had a complaint about it, there are small little things I can pick. I think it resolves the vampire stuff slightly too conveniently for me. But like, this is me trying to find things that are wrong with the movie at that point. I love the coda, not even the 1990s coda. I love the conclusion with Smoke just fucking completely wiping out the KKK group, which one of the things I need to point out, or I need to give it credit for, is we talk about this film is not very subtle in its themes, but there are a few little subtle nods that I think it does very well, such as the film having implied that the KKK members have done this several times before. Because when Smoke and Stack first go there, or first stop there, and look over the place to buy it, Smoke says something about like, did you clean the floors? What was on there before?
Mm-hmm.
And Hogwood is kind of like, don't you worry about that. And he's trying to play so. There's a very clear implication that they have done this before, and this is how they lure groups of Black communities out here to do their killing. And I think the film does a really good job with some of those light touch moments so that they can be heavy on the themes. I am gonna give this 4.5 acts of accidental true magic out of 5. It is really close. I am just gonna split the difference between you two. And really, it would be like a 4.7 almost, but I don't do half. I don't do between half stars and full stars. So, great fucking movie regardless. That was Sinners. As for next episode, Holly, what are we covering next episode?
It's still a good movie, but I'm sorry, anything compared to this just seems like such a big step down. Still a good movie, though. Finally visiting the Scream universe, which was inevitable between Jeremy and I. We will be watching Scream 4.
Which I'm excited for, because this is the first one Elle hasn't seen.
Mm-hmm. I don't think Shawnee's seen this one either. I'm gonna see if I can get them to watch it with me.
Ooh, nice. Because yeah, we're all Scream fans and Scream 2 fans. Scream 2. Didn't you like Scream and Scream 2?
No, I'm just screaming.
Oh, okay. I thought that was like an now that you mention it. Okay.
Well, no, but it's also like quite early in the morning here, so I can't be too loud, but
legit. And Scream 3 is...
It exists.
Actually, it's still a good movie. It's just, it is the worst of the Scream movies.
It's fine.
In my take. But yeah, that will be next episode. That is it for us for this episode. If you want to find us elsewhere, you can find us at whatever podcatcher you prefer. We are on Blue Sky, Letterboxd, and Instagram at Final Ghouls Pod.
You live in Vermont, specifically Burlington, specifically Adsett Court, specifically number 5. Your name is Greg Ardette. You know what to do. Give us a rating or we'll come for you. I have your specific address, Greg. Look, we tried going wide market and it clearly hasn't worked because you still haven't given us a rating and a review. Greg, I'm sorry that your divorce isn't working.
Oh, that's creepy. I love it. Meanwhile, if you're not being stalked by us, apparently, you can find us at you can. Sorry, I already said where you can find us. You can find me at J Thomas for One One Mania on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Letterboxd.
You can find me at shards@kind.social on Mastodon and Shards System on Letterboxd and at Greg's house.
Greg, I don't know what's going on here.
Sorry. Okay.
No,
Hi. You can find me at Holly Culp on Blue Sky and Miniature Magic 18 on Instagram, and hopefully saving Greg.
And you can find all of us playing role-playing games at Final Show Films on Twitch and YouTube. And Elle, give us our horror book survival guide tip that will apparently not save Greg.
The science isn't quite there yet, so just don't mess with DNA.
That's not even a horror. Just in general, yeah, don't mess with DNA.